Coming to you from Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge in Ingalls, Indiana, Indiana's exclusive Aladino Cigar Lounge. It's the Final Third Podcast.
Welcome back to the Final Third Podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Scott.
And we have a nice guest with us today. Introduce yourself for us.
Well, you said nice, so I looked around. I'm sorry. Where? Oh, Lisa's here taking pictures. My name's Mark Presley, and I am the owner, which I don't love that tag, but the founder is my actual name on the card. I have Moondrops Distillery here in Fortville, Indiana, and you just brought up Ingalls, which is like our neighbor.
Yeah, heck yeah. So we're live at Moondrops today. Rob and Lisa are in Vegas for PCA this week. So we are at Moondrops.
You can go ahead and pour them up, Mark.
Yeah,
you're not going to hurt my feelings, man.
Pour one.
I'm telling you right now.
I
Look,
looked over at the big guy, and he's like,
"That's yeah." I'm going to have to have a little bit more than that. Look. This is my kickoff because today starts March Madness, right? The real start of March Madness, and so. Obviously, I'm all set with my 3 kegs at home and got 4 TVs set up in the living room, and I'm ready to rock, man. So this is the perfect start to the day.
I brought the whole bottle, so I'm not scarred.
Yeah, now we're talking.
With that said, I was doing a tasting the other day, and we'd sold out, and before I packed up and left, I said, "You want to check the back room?" to one of the employees, and they said, "Yeah, let's go back." I turned around, and they had a big box of Little Kings, and I went, "Oh, shit, I haven't seen those in forever." I said, "Is those Little Kings?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, I'll take them." And she goes, "How many?" I said, "All of them." It's
wow.
It's the bracket weekend over here.
I love it. Man, get yourself a little Mickey's wide mouth in there and you'll be all set, right?
Actually, I saw them in there. I got a good chuckle about it. I was like, wow, the old loggers.
Oh, yeah. So March Madness. Yeah, it's going to be a good day. I know Jen's excited about all those.
The beers that I've got on tab.
Yeah,
I've got, I'll cover it real quick. I've got Pseudo Sue.
Favorite.
Yep, which is great. It's a little hazy for me, but I do enjoy the flavor. And it's got a nice kind of creamy mouthfeel that's kind of nice. I got, I know the creamy mouthfeel, right? Where's Rob at?
It's all about mouthfeel, baby.
I looked away.
Mark, we're going to have some fun today, I can tell.
You're bigger than me.
I also got Headhunter from Fathead. It's a great big IPA. And then really my personal favorite is North Coast Rasputin Imperial Stout. I love that. Oh, it's so good.
She was wondering what that one was. I figured it was a Rasputin.
Man, it's one of those that it's not like these big, barrel aged stouts that's sweet and chocolate or like the bourbon one we had that was really good on last week's show.
Oh, yeah. Man, that was great.
But it's just a great imperial stout, great bitterness to it, just an awesome profile. So it's going to be a damn good weekend. Well, 4 days. 4 days.
Those are fun ones. I drink those. I've kind of here lately, for whatever reason, settled into the Dragon's Milk because I do like that heavy. Yeah.
Have you tried the whiskey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've been
stuff's great.
Up in Michigan for quite a while, so it's all over up there. Yeah.
It's one of those hot ones.
Yeah. Inside joke.
Well, today we're going to be trying some of the Moondrop stuff. So what did you pour for us first?
I actually just poured you guys, and I think you might have had it, the Double Oak. That is a 7-year MGP that we took out and stuck in one of our own barrels. And then after arguing with our distiller a little bit, we proofed it to 100. And this is my all-time favorite. I love it. And that outside of my product.
So I'm going to hit what would typically be the elephant in the room right away, which is you just called it right out, MGP sourced.
We're very open about that.
I love that, Mark.
First of all, I didn't want an immature bourbon out on the market as I slobber all over myself. And in doing that, there's guys that just flat lie about it out there. And there's other guys that try and deny it and hide it. And actually on our small batch label, it just says it. I can't have a 5-year bourbon or 6-year bourbon and be open for 2 years. That's not mathematically possible. And we're proud of it. One, there's nothing wrong with MGP at all. It's a great bourbon. And then obviously, we figure out what we want to do with the cast strength and what we want to do, proof down to 100, which is the number we picked. And that's what we're going to run with. And if I did my math right, it'll run out about 6 months before we release our stuff, which is out in the Rick House now.
Okay. Well, I just love the openness and the honesty about it because you're right. There is nothing wrong with MGP, and taking that product and finishing in barrels on your own is a great way for a new distillery to get started, provide capital, right? Because
Yeah,
you got to have some operating.
It's capital heavy.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. And you're not only buying that, you're putting your own back. I don't know if all the audience caught all that. We've probably got 404, maybe a little more than that, of our own barrels back there now, and it's going back daily.
And you're out of space.
Not yet. That's funny. I actually went to Moonshine U down in Kentucky early on, and I thought I knew the world. And first thing that they're teaching us is you're going to run out of space. No matter what, you're going to run out of space. You're going to run out of space. And I'm like, I kicked my feet up. You're a bunch of idiots. I got 9,000 square foot, and I got 3 acres behind me, and it took 6 months. I went, I'm out of space. Yeah. Well, cheers, guys.
Yeah,
absolutely. Cheers. Yeah. Thank you very much, and thank you for having us. Appreciate it. So first of all, I immediately wish I had a cigar. I'm sure everybody noticed we're not smoking cigars today because we're inside and not at the lounge. So I obviously appreciate you having us on site. But this thing, I took the first sip and immediately I was like, oh, this would be so good with a cigar.
Yeah. We'll have to take. Do you have these for sale here?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have to take a bottle today.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's a fun bottle. It's just a really good sipper because if you drink bourbon like I do, where you just kind of taste it, it leaves that smoke in your mouth for just a little bit, and it just hangs on. You just kind of nip on it a little bit.
Yeah, it's got a great oaky backing to it, which is just really, really nice. Coats the entire tongue and has a good long finish, just like we
this was
hope
our
to see.
Third pass at a double oak. The first pass was good, and we liked it. And it was funny. It almost had like 3 chambers, a little bit of heat, a little bit of the rye, and then a little bit of the smoke. And then the second one, we were like, okay, it's good, but was at the barrel. And like I said, both the first 2 passes were good. I enjoyed them all. But the third pass, when we sent it down to 100, that's it. We dialed it in, and now we've got, I believe, 6 or 8 barrels back there. We're putting another 10 back, so we'll have about 20 barrels soon.
Yeah, so I know Rob told me the other day that he bought 2 bottles of these to put on the bar at the lounge.
Cool.
So if you guys want to try this, come to the lounge. He'll have it there, have a cigar. If not, come down here, have a pour here. There's other cocktails, do a tour. It's a cool place.
Appreciate it is. Actually, I walked in and I was like, man, this is really impressive. And
it's cool.
I didn't get a chance to walk back through your operation back there, but I'm more than familiar enough with the equipment to see you guys did it right. You know what you're doing back there.
Yeah. Well, I knew how to spend people's money.
Never
when I say people,
thing.
Let's be specific. I spent my wife's money.
That's how it goes.
So I see the grain bill right here, the mash bill on the back of the bottle,
back
which is
to the openness and up front, and don't hide it. Just tell it what it is.
That's absolutely perfect. So we're dealing with 60% corn, 36 rye, and 4 malted barley.
Yep.
And I got to say, it's definitely rye forward.
Oh, absolutely.
I love.
We're actually later on going to try our own rye, and then our rye bourbon we got into just a smidgen last night, and it's rye forward again.
That always works for my palate. I'm much more of that rye spice guy than I am the weeder.
It's funny how your palate changes. I came into this a weeded guy, and it's like, and there's a reason. My dad, I always think the rye is like a pepper, like a black pepper. And my dad always cooked with heat. He was the fire station cook, and it was always, we're having firehouse toast today, and we're having firehouse pancakes today. Dad, put down the hot sauce. So it wasn't that I disliked heat. It was that I kind of grew tired of it. And the weeded was definitely, it's a little smaller, a little smoother. And that's where I started this. But now, because I'm in rye every day, literally, at the point I reach into the rye and chew on it a little bit. And your palate just changes. And now I can't hardly drink a weeded.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've actually explored a little bit here recently with some weededs that we were, most of us being kind of stronger palate guys.
We started changing recently.
We found some that were pretty nice,
actually. Me and Rob have never really been heavy into wheats. But now, as our palate, like you said, you're developing a palate and it changes. I think we appreciate more about some of the weeded blends that are out there. And I think, the Ben Holiday was one of the really good.
Mm-hmm. That was a very good one.
And then we went up to Whiskey Acres in Illinois, and they had a really good. All their mash is wheat. So
I remember the Holiday being affordable too.
It is.
Oh yeah, I think it was like $60 or something for the.
I think they top out at 60.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's cheaper. If you want to try that one, that's a good one too. But I think we all kind of started getting more appreciative towards that. I mean, it's not makers, right? Like it's something that, you know, you kind of just got to experiment with. Like there's not one wheat for everyone. You know? It's like a rye. Like there's not one rye for every person out there either. So it's kind of interesting that, and we did like the sensory experience with Jackie's ICANN, and she's telling us how our pallets are trash and telling us that we're bullshit.
She wasn't wrong.
No, she's not wrong. Like all of our pallets are trash. So take everything with a grain of salt. But we enjoy exploring different things like the weeded bills and the high rise.
It's funny how different people things, you know, and obviously we have some other products, and our Bonfire Blends, which is our moonshines, are all, it's a sugar drink. It's also a ready to drink drink. It's enjoyable. It's fun. But I was at a tasting, and a lady, I could tell, you could see her face. It's like she was not enjoying it. And I said, "You okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." She says, "But it's not really me." And I said, "Then why would you sit there and you're not going to hurt my feelings?"
Yeah.
Go, I don't like this one. You know, everybody has
that's
their
fine.
own.
Yeah, that's
she
fine.
goes, I said, "What do you normally drink?" And she goes, "Well, I like vodka." What the fuck are we doing? I pulled over.
Let's get some vodka going.
Our vodka won triple gold. And,
so talk about the vodka a little bit. Tell Scott. I know the story because me and Rob were here last week. But tell Scott and the people about your vodka and
the vodka's fun, and it is special. And we won triple gold internationally. And there's a reason. Everybody, you know, first you start out with is it really their vodka? You know, well, look in there and see if there's a column on there still. You can start there. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of things that go into that. You know, Tito's and Grey Goose, and I don't quote me, I don't remember, but we filter it 7 times. We filter it 8 times, and we felt that was real cute. And we're a bunch of hillbillies here. And we took a carbonated filter, we strip it out, we loaded it with charcoal, and we filtered it at 32 times. And the real secret, because it all starts out as a GNS, it's all, you know, 190 proof or whatever. Sure. And it's how you clean it and what you do with it. We all seen we're all 19 years old and grabbed a half a gallon on the bottom shelf of Kroger's for $4.
Yeah.
And went, everybody play.
Yeah.
And the only thing that really separates that from that in the top is how well they clean it and what they do with it. And we're real proud of how we did that.
Yeah.
Now, are you doing your cleaning after you water, or you're doing it on the GNS?
Yeah,
okay, so it's after water.
Yep.
So are you treating your water before it goes in, and then you're also filtering?
We'll go through. You said you didn't go through there a little bit, and there's about 3 blue lines out there, and those are me. Those are something that I'm real proud of, and every distiller has this. I do this, and I'm a big believer in water. So the cool thing, and I know there's some bad press about Fortville water right now, but here at this location, it's okay. It starts with that water and what you use, and then we just clean the heck out of it, filter the heck out of it. You know, I know there's some distillers that use a small RO system. It looks like something under your sink, and mine's about 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. This is almost like a Pendleton Pike thing, because like Triton Brewery down the road, like water is their whole thing. Like that's where they start we don't, we'll worry about the mash and what grains we're putting in for our beer after we get the water done.
Right.
And so it's interesting that you guys kind of have a similar mindset around it.
That was, we definitely did some water tests, and then we asked Fortville for their numbers, and we got them, and they filled them what we wanted. Then we tested them on our own. And to this day, I'll walk back there. I won't say daily, maybe every 6 months, and go, what's our water doing? Where are we at? And anybody checked it and things like that.
That's great. I love that. And obviously it always leads to a better quality product.
Yeah. I mean, especially, and that's a little misleading in the sense that, our still's 540 gallons. So I still have the ability to hang bags of corn. I don't have a silo of corn. So we can touch that corn. We can touch that wheat. We can touch that rye. And we know what it is. We know where it's coming from, Fisher Farms, which is down in Shelbyville. We're proud of that. All of our stuff comes local. And then our stillage, just another side note, it goes back and we feed the cattle here in Fortville. With that said, when you can touch all of the grains and you see it, you know where it was last week and you know where it is today, then the really big variable is the water. It's got to be the water.
I love that you're sourcing everything locally.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. We're proud of that. It was during COVID, everything we went. There's actually 2 stories. If you got a minute, I'll tell you a couple funny ones. The first one was everything had to come from local, and we did that mainly because when we was talking about the machinery, if something breaks, I don't need to see stuff sitting out in the water during COVID, and that is exactly what happened to a lot of places. And everything we have in there, I think the furthest drive is Wisconsin, which is for our mill. Everything else is within about a 2 to 4 hour drive now. Obviously, we're 2 hours away from Louisville, and 90% of everything
that
comes
does
from
help quite a bit. Yep.
So it wasn't that difficult of a decision, but it wasn't as impressive now today. If I'm taking a tour, and I happen to walk somebody through, there's a 9,000 foot facility out there that there's an American flag on everything, and it's kind of cool. And so, yeah, we hung our hat on that, but really started because of COVID. It's like, yeah, we're going to lose something. We're going to be down for months, and we can't have that. We literally gave birth to this place on January 29th, 2019. So if you remember what happened about that week,
goodness.
I called the attorney.
I think it was March, right? March when they actually declared the pandemic.
Yeah, I'm in tears. I'm still trying to get my license. And he's like, no, stop. He said, when people are happy, they drink. When people are sad, they drink. You're going to be fine.
Best way to look at it. Yeah,
I noticed there's never really been like a shortage in alcohol and tobacco.
No, if you watch what happened during that period in time, what happened was the on-premise obviously dropped to nothing, but the off-premise went through the roof. People were driving through and picking up their bottle and keep moving. Yeah, it never ticked off.
And I will say I'm not one that's going to sit here and praise government actions a whole lot often, but they did lax a lot of the rules around like carry out and things like that because people couldn't be on premise. I thought that was very well done and very well thought out. And, they might have had a lot of very upset people on their hands without it, right?
Yeah, I felt bad for the little restaurant owner or the small. Those guys really got pounded. Obviously, workforce went away too, and some things happened. But anyway, I'm not going to bitch about COVID. The other story with the American was really, really funny. We went way down that road. It's got to be made in America. Got to be made in America. Got to be made in America. And really early on, before we were open, I had 4 boys from the VFW come in and talking to them, and all Vietnam vets and really cool guys, and they kind of farted around for a little bit, and finally one of them says, Mark, can we get a drink? Like, well, the tasting room's not open. He swats the other over. I fucking told you. I said, well, I might know a guy. Come on with me.
We might be able to get a hold of a bottle or two somewhere.
So we're going through the place, and they're seeing the flag, and I'm telling that story. I said, yeah, everything in here is American made. And one of the old boys got teary-eyed. Thought, how cool is that? And I'm like, oh man, don't make the old vet teary-eyed. It's like, I don't want to be that guy. And it went really well. So at the end, I got to give him some swag, right? So I'm handing him some stuff. And one of them got really quiet. And he says, hey, Mark. And I said, yeah. He said, this here hat. He said, you said everything was made in America.
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit. I never thought about swag. I said, yes, sir. He goes, this hat was made in Vietnam. I used to shoot those guys. Oh, man. I said, give me back that. He said, nope, I'm wearing it with pride.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So the only piece of equipment back there that's not American made was the juicer, right?
Yeah,
it's like nobody makes a juicer.
Right, nobody makes a juucer the size we need.
One, yeah.
In our bonfire blends, we use fresh squeezed juice, and there's obviously the little bitty ones that you see, at the corner breakfast store. But no, this big juicer, and I can't even tell you now, but we usually can run about 2,000 lemons through that pretty fastly.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That is a lot of lemons.
Yeah, Scott, whenever we're done, we'll show you back there because Mark will show you back there. But it's a pretty cool operation. I think the thing that kind of surprised me when we did our tour was, it's almost automated. It's almost fully automated.
Everything but the bottling room. The bottling room is semi-automated. And what that means is the machines are each automated, but it takes a set of hands to go from machine to machine.
Sure.
That was a funny room because I set that room up. I bought that equipment, and that was basically my baby. And I went to the Moonshine U and learned, and I went and looked at 3 distilleries and set it up and decided I'd made the right decision. And there's probably close to $100,000 worth of machinery in there. And it was awful. Everything about it. We've got it to a point where it's smooth, but that is the room that will cause the most headaches.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, and I can imagine.
We became pretty good buddies with Hard Truth. And at one point, he said, why don't you come down and see our facility, and you'll like it, and we'll show you some of our boo-boos and some of our wins. And so they kind of did the back room with us, and obviously I've got to go see the bottling room. And he's fully automated and got a nice machine. So I'm telling the head bottler, yeah, I spent $100,000. It was good. I'm whining and crying in my beer. And he looks at me and stayed quiet. When I was done, he said, "You see that big machine down there?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I paid $400,000 for it. It sucks too." So that must be the common denominator in distilleries, is we all hate our bottling stuff. So,
well, that goes back to what we talked about a couple weeks ago. We were watching the short docuseries on the Heaven Hill fires, and we were talking about, you throw a rock and you hit a beam.
Yeah.
And, everyone, it's all about community. Everybody helps everybody. It's awesome to see that all these new distilleries that are coming up are still sticking by that, camaraderie and community.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We got to help each other, right? Everybody needs to, we're in this together. Like, you're making the same product, but you wouldn't have a product without competitors. So, you got to treat your neighbors nice.
I think early, before we ever got started, I was thinking the local distilleries was my competition. Mm-hmm. It's not. I mean,
right.
Love those guys. They've all treated us well. Defended one on social media to somebody, and I have no issue with any of them, but it's the Jacks and the Jims and the Tito's, right. And they don't want us to be in the room. And they did that. I think I thought about that with all the local breweries that cropped up, and they actually cut in to Miller and Budweiser and some of those guys and the profits. And I think when the little distilleries started popping up, I think the big guys went, "Yeah, you're not coming." They've done everything they can to keep you out of the room.
I think that in my mind, the competition out there, and I know this isn't going to be popular with some of the folks, but it's secondary, right? It's the idea of people that want to spend crazy amounts of money on whiskeys that honestly they're good. Okay, I'm not going to say that they're not good. Are they $3,000 a bottle good? Right. Wouldn't it be better to go and take that $3,000 and spend it on some of your local distilleries and get adventurous and learn about those
10
products?
Distilleries and spend $100 in each of those distilleries. You'll spend less, and you'll have just about more than you'll get through. And you sure helped everybody out here.
You don't know how much I drink, so.
I told you the little King story.
But yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time on the podcast, right? Whether it's cigars or lounges or distilleries or breweries, whatever. It's like, go to your local place, right? Or when you're traveling, go find the places that are local to where you're going and try their stuff, because chances are you're going to find things that are every bit as good as that bottle of Blanton's that you spent $300 on, or that, BTAC bottle that you're spending $1,500 to $2,500 on. Spread the wealth a little bit and promote, the little guy and the industry as a whole. And you're going to find things that are going to challenge your palate, but you're going to start getting excited about it, right? It's not about showing that bottle off in your crotch. I can't stand the crotch shots, right?
Or watching
what's the guy that's on the Avalanche broadcast that always has his bourbon and wine collection in the background? Rob's always talking about him, and he's always got
like
Pappies and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, go, you know what? Go buy some local stuff wherever you're at, and then put that in your background and promote the local guys that are out there working hard to make really, really great products and being open and honest, where they're starting, where they're going, and what they hope to be in the future.
Yeah. Well, it's cool too, because talking about some of these bigger brands that don't want new guys coming around. That's true, but you also see I think they're jumping ship, they're moving around. Some of these brewers are moving into distilling with their knowledge. So Denny Gorman went to New Riff. He was from Sam Adams. So you see all these big names that are
I've got one of those guys back here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was at a brewery. He spent his
that's right.
Yeah, BJ, and he's doing a wonderful job. The fun part about him, and I would recommend this to all the distilleries, if you get a brewer come through, they ramp up faster. They understand the mash part of it. They understand the forklift part of it. All you have to do is the distilling part of it, and whatever your internal little secrets are, and
they're probably happy to clean a little bit less. It's you still have to be. I know you still have to clean when you're distilling, but compare it, I feel to beer, where it's I have to clean everything 37 times, and I have to sanitize it all and spray everything and dunk it in sanitizer all the time. Distilling seems like it's just a little bit less.
First we're cooking at 100 or 210 degrees,
right?
It's going in the still, and then it's distilling, and anything that's in there is being purified, literally. It's definitely a different program. We the saying in here is because of BJ coming is, well, what we call brewers or quitters.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's good. So
speaking of cleaning though, so your mash it's sweet mash, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Sweet mash. Okay.
Yeah. So
fresh pitch every time. And
yes.
Excellent.
Yep.
So are you doing a lot of yeast control, or are you just kind of
me personally, no.
right. You're master distiller. Some distillers,
no, none of us have claimed master yet. I will not get the chance to claim it. Hank back there will be my first. And we told him when we go to market with our own juice, that's when we'll negotiate on what really makes a master distiller. I originally told him when he can walk in any distillery and turn their machine on and operate it, and he's getting close to that. And so that's fun. No, master distillers always, it's like, yeah, everybody's got one. So how about we have to earn it a little bit.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's great.
So I think he's less than 2 years away.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
All right. So are we ready to
Let's do
pour
it.
the next thing?
Here. I'm going to put the caveat for the audience that don't know. I have never poured any of our own juice for anybody outside of this place other than one person at Southern, which is our distributor. It was kind of a funny story, as we were with a smaller distributor early on. And when we started selling, obviously the bigger guys start coming around and sniffing around. And, oh, yeah, I remember you were the ones that laughed at us when we first started opening up. And Southern is definitely the biggest, in town. And they came in, and at last moment, I said, I really like our rye. I said, it's just really young. And he goes, well, I'm a rye guy. And he got into it. And an hour later, he's like, hey, I got to go home. So I personally, because of being around rye all the time, I'm really proud of this. But to let it out to somebody else and somebody that doesn't know what they're tasting, and I use the word immature quite a bit, because it literally, we opened it yesterday and it was just turning 2 years old. So it may be a day short of what you're getting ready to drink. And it was our 22nd barrel that we made.
Excellent.
This is just a regular rye. It's not a rye bourbon. It's just a rye.
Okay, so straight rye whiskey.
I will, I say we can hold it up the camera, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful color for under 2 years.
That's fantastic.
So we're real proud of our barrels. It's a Gainesville barrel that we use. It is a number 4 char, sorry. And I was real happy with where this came.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I can already get some of those really nice notes on the aroma.
That went in the barrel, I believe, at 115.
Okay.
So it could even, raised in 2 years a little bit.
So what are you shooting for? 4 to 5 or 5 to 6?
With my bourbons, I originally said 4, and then I immediately went to 5. And when we first opened a 6-year barrel, I went, okay, if I can financially hang on to 6, I mean, that plays into this. 6 would be awesome. With the rye, I'm going to give it a sniff at 4. We'll see. I know there's some 2-year bourbons out on the market, and I know there's some 2-year ryes, and good for those guys. And like I said, we're open about having an MGP out there, and that's how we pay our bills. Everybody's got to pay their bills.
From concept to creation, Bother Visuals specializes in bringing your ideas to life. They'll turn ordinary moments into extraordinary stories. Bother Visuals is your one-stop shop for all things visual. Be sure to like and follow on all social media at Bother Visuals.
When my stuff finally comes to the market, I was being interviewed with IBJ, and he asked me, he said, it's tough to make money in this business. And he said, and even if you do it, at your age, you're not going to see a return on it. He said, what are you doing? And I said, legacy.
Generational.
And he quit. He stopped right there, and he kind of smiled. Yeah. And so for me to leave a legacy, then I can't rush that out. I just can't.
No, that makes sense. And I think, like you said, not a lot of people understand what this is. Not a lot of people come in here and taste a white dog and be like, that's good.
Right.
So it's hard to let people sample this. And we appreciate that because we all understand what it takes. And, me and Rob talked about this last week when we were here. You can't fix a bad mash in a barrel.
No, you can't. The mash is the mash. We talked about the water in the first of this conversation. Right. And
this is not that situation. This is... Man.
So I want to dive right into this because first of all,
and be honest,
very complex.
No, first of all, I was going to say very well done.
I've always watched. Thank you, my friends and fans, because they're going to tell me what I want to hear. My Hank will tell me. We was talking about this last night, and I said, this got a good review or that got a review. He said, yeah, because you just beat them the fuck up until they tell you what you want to hear. So, by all means, be honest.
All right, so it's pretty obvious that it's an under 2-year product because, I don't want to call these grain forward anymore. I hate that term since we did Whiskey Acres.
Seems to be coming up a lot more.
And grain forward is not a bad thing. And so many people say grain forward as if they're talking about young whiskeys. And I don't think that that's appropriate because grain forward is absolutely fantastic. The beautiful part about this is I can tell it is going to be a nice, grain present taste when it's done. I will call it raw grain right now because you can definitely get that lovely raw rye that I like you said, I grab a couple grains and chew on them a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And
the
you
rye
get
guys,
that.
I think, are going to like it for what you just said.
Exactly. Now, the best part is with the barrel notes that are starting to impact it, you're just getting some of the subtle kind of light fruit notes that come out on top, right? When you're kind of sniffing a little further away versus getting down into it, and they're just touching the palate. So I always like that balance in ryes where you get just a couple of those light fruit notes that just subtly kind of tell you that they're there without being aggressive. But then that spice, I think that's probably the part that's going to develop the most over the next couple of years when it sits in the barrel. It's still that kind of raw grain versus the grain forward but spice backed, solid rye whiskey. This is exciting. This is exciting because you guys are 10 minutes from my house, right? I'm going to love it when you start, pumping this stuff out and you've got, some sort of single barrel or you've got, different blends that you're doing or finishes that you're doing your own stuff. Yeah, I'm going to be in here buying some bottles for sure.
It's fun. I got excited at 2 years. It's like, because there's people that put 2 years out, and I never had a plan to put 2 years out, but I still wanted to see where am I at 2 years.
Yeah.
And I went, it's okay. And then you're like, bank account starts calling. You're like,
you gotta pay some bills, bud.
Walk away. Leave the rick house.
Mind your business. That's what.
It's not ready yet. Just wait. Just wait. Now, are you all 53-gallon barrels?
Yes,
excellent.
100%,
okay, so you started out that way.
Yep.
You had some that were smaller, though, right?
That's not a subject we talk about. That is but not for what you think.
No.
I have never used a small barrel.
He never has.
Clearly, you saw them back there. Those are
I didn't see anything.
Ours. The biggest compliment I think we've ever gotten here is we were asked to distill for someone else.
There you go.
I'm not allowed to talk about that or who. But we not only did that, they sent in, some big dogs and sniffed it and smelled it and said, yeah, you're doing well. And we've done 3 contracts with them now. So not only, it's kind of how it goes around, we started buying MGP and saying, hey, we're doing that. Yeah. We're obviously putting our stuff back. Like I said, we've got over 400 barrels that are ours now. And then now we're actually looking and distilling for others. And that's
amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That too helps pay the bills.
Yeah, for sure. And, a lot of places to pay the bills. We talk about paying bills. A lot of people do, they'll do the white and talk about the rum a little bit.
Oh, my rum's fun. And I appreciate you asking because I've gotten to the point I don't talk about it.
It's worth talking about.
It's delicious. If you understand rum out there and you're a rum guy, by all means come in and we've got a silver rum right now. I do have a few barrels back there that are aging. Those will be 7. I'm whatever reason, brain lock, needle stuck in the groove, but it's stuck on 7. My sales manager's yelling at me daily, like, it's too good to leave it in the barrel. Like,
share it.
Trust me, that's what the fucking barrel's supposed to do.
I have heard that it's supposed to be pretty good.
It's awesome. It really is.
Amazing.
I'm way proud of it. And it's do you remember, was it 2 years old? I think it
was 2 years.
Yeah, it was about the same time. My silver rum is awesome. Here's the problem. I go to a tasting in Indiana, and I get it out, and I see the same look. 9 out of 10 people, they kind of make this face. And I know immediately, like, I'm see drink rum and Coke? Yes. Oh, okay. Bacardi's or Captain Morgan? Yes. I was, all right. Good for you. I'm not going to tell somebody.
Yeah.
But the reality is that's a sugar, and it's good for you. Enjoy your sugar. This is actually a funky rum. We absolutely took the recipe, if you remember, Rum Fire, which was a Jamaican rum. Well, it was also a Jamaican pot still rum. Well, guess what I have sitting out there? Big Mama is a 540-gallon pot still. So
it's right here.
Yeah.
A little bit of a reflection. I'll try to fix that. You can see it. It's right here.
And she does her job. She does that well. My silver rum, I'm way proud of. The problem is like I said, we're in Indiana. So when you're talking about a Jamaican rum, you're talking about Bahama Mamas and pina coladas and hurricanes and drinks like that. If you took that rum and just stuck it in, say, some pineapple juice, you'd love it. You'd lose your mind. It's like, wow, I just made a boat drink, and all I did was play. And it's that good.
Well, how about a daiquiri?
Right.
Yeah, 100%. Now, not for you, strawberry people. I'm talking the traditional, old school, little simple syrup, a little bit of lime juice, a lot of rum. Just a fantastic drink.
Sitting on the beach, and, and if you're not on the beach because it's January in Indiana, you kick your feet up and pretend you are.
Exactly. I tend to order more daiquiris in the winter just so I can try and remind myself a little bit.
There is a world outside of here.
I think the caption for this video is going to be from Scott. I don't think you realize how much I drink. That's the tagline for this video today.
That's true. And if I'm drinking, I try to be outside. I'm thinking I'm probably about 4 shades darker than when we first started the podcast.
We'll have to compare. Yeah, you're going to lose a shade today because you're right.
I'm
here in the shade.
Well, I'm going to be inside for the next 4 days.
I describe my drinking like this. I drink less than I'd like to and more than my wife wants me to.
How you like that? That's good.
Cheers to that. Yeah, I hear that.
So did you notice the viscousness on this? I mean, that's absolutely incredible.
It's amazing.
I think it's your turn to.
Oh, man. So I get what you're saying about the raw grain. I never really liked saying grain forward either. It is. But I agree more with that grain forwardness and like the raw grain a little bit. I'm getting a lot of like red fruit on the nose What's the mash on this?
I'm not at liberty to say on that
All
one.
Right.
You can ask Hank. How's that?
Okay, yeah.
If Hank wants to tell you,
we might have talked about that.
I outruled Hank on this one. It was nothing was going to come out.
Okay.
And finally I said, give me the rye because I'll go there. We've been really, really cards to our chest because honestly, we're here now and it's already came out. We're proud of it. I think it's going.
Absolutely.
They always talk about anything in a barrel. If it's early, is it going in the right direction? I believe it is.
Sure. So, do you feel like with this distillate that you have a flavor? Like
yes.
Okay. What is?
I pick up
for
a fruit flavor.
Okay,
that's what I thought.
Because I know Hank had a specific one as well. Yep. So I got a lot of like red fruit on the nose with a little like.
You pick up any cherry?
I was gonna say cherry on the finish.
That's what I did. Yeah, I picked up a cherry.
Like the pitted cherries, whatever ones those are.
Oh, the wrong guy.
Yeah, the Washington, like the Washington cherries that you get.
I use the one syllable words.
Not maraschino cherries, the regular like.
No, like
the
good
cherries.
Yeah, like a dark cherry. Yeah,
dark red cherries.
You climb grandma's cherry tree and ate them.
Those cherries.
Yeah, those cherries.
And obviously, it's always reminds me of. The closer your nose gets to the whiskey, a little bit, the ethanol starts getting you.
Yeah, and that's that immature that always scares me.
It does.
Handing it out.
But if you can get really, really low, there is absolutely like a deep cherry, almost kind of like when you cook down. Raspberries and make like a raspberry coulis or something like that, where you get like the deeper notes out of it.
Oh, wow.
That's where this is going to mature extremely well.
And you said this is coming off at like what, 120, 122?
I think that's going in the barrel at 115.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, early on.
Yep. Okay. What's the goal? Is that is that pretty standard for
the proof, the final proof? I don't know how many people. I've not done my homework on how many people do the barreled and bond with a rye, but I think that's where we're going to go. So then obviously it's got to go at 100.
Okay.
Yep.
That would be perfect.
Yeah. I mean, that's where my bourbon's going to go. I mean, not all of it. We'll have some cast strength and some stuff, but I think that's with especially the entry level bourbon people, I think that gives it that badge of some legitimacy. And I think, when we came right out of the gate saying this is MGP, it's on our label, blah, blah, then we get that pride of saying it didn't go out of here.
Yep.
It went from my distiller's hand to the barrel to the rick house, and everybody stay the hell out of there.
But strangely enough, the bottled and bond label, right? I don't know that I've ever had a bad bottled and bond, being that it's supposed to be the minimum level of quality to really call this bourbon in you know, a sense beyond what the original context of bourbon was.
The original goal, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know all my history, but it was because there were so many moonshiners out there, and trust me, our name's Moondrops, because that's me tipping my hat to the moonshiners. But there was bad guys out there, like in every industry. And
Prohibition, actually. So
and they were putting crap, and then they were getting methanol.
Yes, they were.
You'll go blind drinking that.
There was a lot of wood products, or they were doing other things.
And that was their way of saying, no, this ain't us.
Well, and even the age, right? Because there is no minimum age in bourbon, but they say 4 years for bottled and bond.
Right, which this won't even be a 4. It's a 4-year minimum, and there's no way I'm releasing my bourbon at 4. Like I said, if I can survive till 6, that would be perfect. I'm guessing it's going to be 5 when the bank goes, I really don't care what your morals are.
At that point, the bankers need paid.
Yeah. That was a fun conversation early on. Was my accountant, starts going, what the hell are you doing? You're bleeding money, blah, blah, blah. And I said, come on out. And he came out, and I said, we're going to go out in the rick house. I said, do you know what a barrel of bourbon's worth? And he says, I got a good idea. And I opened the door, and he goes, oh, it's just not in the bank anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when you got, $500,000 million in whiskey just sitting there, just waiting.
Yeah.
You're looking at that going, man, I know what that's worth, but it's not worth it until.
Yeah, I can't write a check with it. I can't buy more grains with it, but it's the right thing to do.
And it sounds like my stock program with my company. It's sitting there, I just can't touch it.
Yeah,
that's where it's at.
Yeah. A lot of penalties.
Yes. Or your 401k, right?
Clamp it going into the bank, and he wanted all of his millions immediately.
Right?
It's not here. What do you mean it's not here?
Well, that's exciting, man. Yeah, I really enjoy this, and to me, I think it's hard to say. Like, I know my palate. I know I have a fairly decent palate now. I think in a couple years, I think this would be a good starter rye for somebody that maybe hasn't experienced a lot of complex ryes.
Yeah, I'm 4 on the rye would be awesome. That also buys me a little time on the bourbon.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, 4 to 6 years on a rye, in most cases, that's just about as good as you're going to get.
I think so. I think we were talking the other day that there's an argument that some things that stayed in the barrel too long.
Absolutely.
I may or may not have done that with a port early on. And I went, what the hell happened? I thought more time was good. So unfortunately, that's how you learn here. We were working on a bonfire blend, and it's probably sitting out there in the rick house in some bottles, and I just slapped some labels, not for sale. And it's expensive, but it's decisions that you make.
That's part of it. Yeah. I mean, you gotta, you're growing your brand. Like you have this vision of what this is going to be. And we commend the fact that like you're sticking to that. Cause like you said, most places are just going to sell out, and they're going to push this stuff out to the market, and then they're going to taint their name.
And I won't throw stones at that, because like I said, I know the pressure they're under to make money, and I know how we're funded, and, and some of them funded more and some of them are funded less, but at the end of the day, the bills come in. The tax man don't give a shit, and he wants it that month.
Yeah, exactly.
And he comes every month.
So tell me, what are you putting back right now? So we've got your distillate. How much are you doing a week, a month, a year?
We're putting back 22 barrels a month.
Okay.
For right now.
Are you switching, or are you doing like rye 1 month, bourbon 1 month?
He's switching.
Okay.
And there's a percentage. Don't quote me, but I believe it's 40% rye, 30% wheated, and 30% rye bourbon.
Is that a weekly thing?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. So a good balance for a month.
Yeah. I mean, you start figuring the math, and I thought I was coming here to make bourbon, and I ran Big Mama, which is the name of her still. I ran her the first 2 times she ever ran, and I've not touched it much since.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm back there, and I that's where I like to spend my time.
Right.
But the reality is now I talk to excise police and lawyers and attorneys and the banker and all those people.
Deal with the ops.
Yeah. And it's like, this ain't fun.
Yeah, but you got to do it.
You do. And that's just
part of it. And it sucks, but
when you sell your soul to the devil, it's the devil you pay, and those are the guys that play in this game. But the good news is I was actually just bragging about the boys back there today. I've got 3 guys back there that distill, Hank being the lead, and one young lady that's doing all of our bonnets, and they're killing it. I just literally don't lose sleep. If I lose sleep over something, it's not in that room.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's the amount of land.
You got good people.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. It's like, where are we growing to? We're bulging at the seams here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So when you get to mature age for all these barrels, what do you think your mix is going to be between doing, potentially single barrel releases versus doing blended releases? Do you have a bigger focus on one versus the other?
Right now, with the MGP, I'm definitely leaning on the blended. We played around with some things. I found out that a rum barrel versus a wine barrel definitely does not age the same, and then they don't age as fast. Obviously, I thought it was 6 months in there and it'd have some flavor, and that was the first thing that we learned with the double oak. It's got an exact amount of time. You went in there a little too long and it gets a little charcoaly, and a little too short, and you didn't pick up all the flavors that you wanted. So we dialed that in. We're playing with some port, and there's a distiller in town that cranked one out, and I've heard a lot of negative reviews on it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And ours, I thought, was dialed in. I was like, this is the date, right? and I was talked into leaving it in there a little longer, and I went out there and I went, oh, what happened? And so it's finding those sweet spots. But yeah, there's definitely 20% of flavored stuff that I'm going to start releasing next fall.
That's great. That's
awesome.
Yeah, I did not know about the variances in like the time in these various barrels. We went down and visited Spirits of French Lick and did a couple barrel picks down there.
Alan?
Yeah, Alan's a great guy.
So I talked to Alan, not weekly, but definitely monthly.
Yeah, he's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah,
it's
we were talking about local people, and then Alan's definitely been good to me.
You may or may not have a couple barrels.
Yeah, once or twice.
May or may not.
But he actually handed us a brandy barrel, and he got an apple brandy out there that we've got some bourbon in.
There you go.
That was a project that he wanted to do that he couldn't get to, and he said, if you'll do it, you can have the barrel. And I'm like, yeah. And so
that's fantastic.
There's some fun stuff out there.
Well, I know he's doing the tequila aged brandy.
Yeah.
And that's like 2 years. And tequila has such a strong flavor.
It's got a very specific flavor.
It is. I mean, obviously the agave, that specific kind of caramely note that it has, it just surprised me that it took 2 years.
Yeah.
You would think something so strong it would be a few weeks. It'd be like Amberana, right? Give me 2 hours and I'm good.
And I'm, like I said, I'm noticing now, and I think that's that commitment to time and effort and looking at it and paying attention and not cranking something out. Is you start having to figure out exactly, okay, the rum barrel, and we're doing a 4-square rum, which is cool. We're putting our bourbon in it. That's not even close to being done, and it's been in there almost a year. Okay. And that, to me, I think it came out maybe because it's picking up some of the heat from the rum. But I can see where it's going, and it's fine. The double oak was completely different. And I may have overwent with the port, so back to the starting board. And you would think they would all, okay, a year's the time, 16 months is it, and it's not. And maybe it's each individual barrel, and that's the learning stuff. We brought up Alan, and he interests me a lot in the sense of what he's doing with just his own bourbons. He literally writes notes down and breaks down even to what mood he's in. I'm pissed off this day, and so
trying to get his tasting.
Yeah, was he throwing something around, or And there's a lot goes into it, and just with those MGP barrels, if at any given time, if there's 10 that came out at the same time, it came from the same place, it's been in the same rick house, there's 7 or 8 that are completely different from each other.
Yeah, it really is incredible to me. I did my first barrel pick. I don't know, it's probably been pushing 2 years now, and going out, and it was at Backbone.
Yeah.
Yep. And we did probably 15 barrels, right, tasting them. And it just shocked me how, you could have the same mash bill in 3 of them, and it just was not the same at all. Yeah, nothing was the same.
Had a group from I won't say who, but they came in doing it, and they were on their 3rd or 4th distillery of tastings.
Are you really tasting at that point? I think you're just drinking.
They became funny. About the second barrel with me, and I was like third or fourth out of four. And about the second barrel they were in, it was humorous. I'm picking up bourbon here. I taste a good bourbon note. As you can tell, I no longer cared.
Right. I feel we got a friend, Chris Gordon. Shout out, Chris Gordon. That he's not a taster. He's just, this is good, this sucks. Like that's the extent of his evaluation. He's got a great palate.
Knows what he likes.
He picks out good stuff, but it's either good or bad, and that's pretty much it. And
I have to slow my group down. I've got 3 or 4 in here that I trust their palates, and maybe 2 that I trust more than mine, and they're funny because no. Well, why? Because I said no.
That is the way it goes sometimes. Final Third Cigar is Indiana's exclusive Aladino Cigar Lounge. Come to Final Third for a selection of over 20 different Aladino cigars, including the Cameroon, a wonderful cigar with nice light flavors. Make sure and visit Final Third, the Aladino exclusive cigar lounge for Indiana.
So, Scott, I know you killed yours already.
Yes.
As it kind of aired out a little bit and warmed up a little bit, did you ever get any cinnamon?
I did not get any. Okay. I would not be surprised. And, being rye, at some point that could certainly present itself in this.
It had a really long finish as it kind of opened up. And it moved out of fruit for me and moved more into like that cinnamon. Not like red hot, but like actual cinnamon.
Like cinnamon stick. Like
cinnamon.
Like baking spice. Cinnamon. Yeah. Yep. That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. I enjoy this a lot.
I'm very excited.
Appreciate that.
Another thing, Scott, was the so we talk about like the moonshine and the other stuff that they're doing here. A lot of those things they're not. It's not really moonshine. I mean, it's
not. I call it an adult ready to drink.
Yeah, it's a ready to drink cocktail. Like it's amazing.
We fought the word moonshine. At least a year when we first started working, and that was the original. Let's tell my story. I'll back up a little bit.
Yeah,
have we got a few minutes?
Oh, yeah, we got plenty of
time. So behind us on the wall up there is 3 stills. 2 of them are mine. One of them is a silver pot. That silver pot was my wife's spaghetti pot.
That one.
And I was never going to make alcohol. I was going to make gasoline. I describe myself as I love my country. I hate my government. And
fair.
I'm not an over-the-top prepper or anything to that effect, but I do a few things that the economy collapses again, and they've done that twice to us. I at least want to make sure my family eats for a while until we get back on our feet.
Sure.
And that's the extreme I took it to. But me and my youngest, we had built a 68 Chevelle, really cool car. And one day I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, that's a carburetor. How hard could it be to make gasoline? And that's how this started. I'm going to make gasoline. And we've got a cabin on the property. And the night before I was going to do it, I was watching some YouTube videos, and my wife's on TV and good old boy on there. And he's like, next step, you got to be real careful. And I thought he was just clowning and being goofy. He said, because it will blow up. And he panned back, he blows out. Went, oh, shit, I blow the cabin up. My wife's going to be pissed. It had nothing. Even if I died, she was going to find me. Yeah. I told you not to do that. And so that still, after being built and figured out, went in the barn. Fast forward a couple of years, and a couple of good old boys come over to help me do some siding in the barn. And one of them walks out and says, hey, Mark, he said, you make moonshine? I said, no, why? And he goes, oh, I saw still in there. I said, I was going to make gasoline. And he goes, you quit when you heard it blows up. I said, yeah. He goes, everybody does.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. And he said, I'm going to teach you how to make moonshine. And he did. And it was funny. And I've done bonfires for years, thus the name Bonfire Blends. And we sit around bonfire, and everybody has a few beers and laughs. And so I start jacking around with this moonshine that I'm going to make. I bring out a jar of it and start passing around. We all laugh. And I think it was right at 189 proof. And we'd all take a little, whoa.
Yeah.
Woof. And you throw it in the fire, go, boom, and we'd all laugh, and then we'd drink beer. and that was the story of how moonshine started. And fast forward, I don't know, 3 or 4 bonfires from there. and a buddy had came by and he had made apple pie, which I think is a law. If you make moonshine, you have to make an apple pie.
Of course.
And which was short at that time with some chunks of apple, some apple juice, and some cinnamon sticks, and stir it up. All my kids are adults, and my daughter walked over and she says, I like his moonshine better. Like, fuck you, that's goddamn sugary pudding, that's my moonshine. So now I'm pissed. And so I go to work, and the lemon shake up was released.
That one's good.
And it went through the roof, and everybody loved it at the bonfires, and we started drinking the lemon shake up around bonfires. And so it got better and better. And at some point, we were in Florida, and I was walking down the beach, and a guy I'd never met before, he goes, are you the guy they're calling Moonshine Mark? And I went, no, I am not. And my wife's like, you're done. You're going legal or put the stuff up.
Oh, wow.
And I genuinely went from a 3-gallon still to a 10-gallon still to now Big Mama, which is a 540-gallon. And hopefully in the next few years, there's a continuous still out there. So,
yeah.
But
if you haven't noticed, the building is designed a certain way. It's to fit another still, right?
It is.
Yeah, so if you drive by, if you've seen moon drops, the front of the building built like a barn.
Yep.
Big gable in the front.
Yep. Kind of a pagoda kind of looking top, a gable, whatever you want to call it. We've notched it out in the center. Big Mama is 540 gallons, and she's 14 feet tall. The next one should be 34 feet tall, and we've got 36 feet. There. And that's why we cut a notch. So if we did our math right, when she stands up, it'll fall right into that notch. Yeah. And then hopefully, at some point I get some property on one side of me, and we will put in a silo, and that's when it changes as far as really paying attention to your grains too. So there's a lot of changes, but that's also the day I'm retiring from here. So
expanded and retired.
Yeah. I want to, once the foundation's under us, I want to sit in a corner in an old concert t-shirt, and somebody go, who's the old man in the corner? Oh, you probably want to go talk to him.
Yeah. Don't mess with him. Yeah. He's okay. That's funny.
Yeah.
So, that's good though.
That's a good life goal right there.
Yeah,
man, I don't know why I hadn't thought of that.
It just evolved. And like I said, the not knowing what you don't know, I came in here thinking, I can make alcohol. I've been doing it for years around these parties and stuff. It's just perpetuate the math. No, it doesn't work that way at all. Flavors go out the door. Everything changes. All the math changes. All of a sudden you're hiring engineers. It's like, I don't speak engineer.
Yeah. Well, if you come into Moondrops, grab a cocktail, do a tour, whatever, those stills are above the bar if you want to see the
and let's talk about the rest of it, because this is a nice area here. We're on a stage. You might be able to tell that. And it looks like you probably got some live music. You got events coming up. Anything you want to talk about?
Got lots of things happening. The tasting room, like you said, is definitely overspent and over-decorated, and that's because my wife did that part. And she did a gorgeous job. It's a pretty room. It's really relaxed. It's genuinely meant 9 out of 10 times to be a tasting room. Come in by a flight. I really like this one. Oh, that one makes a great Manhattan. Rachel makes you Manhattan. And then the hopes is obviously you pick up a bottle and go home with that. With that said, Saturday nights we started doing some live music in here, and we realized that also helps pay the bills. And so on Saturday night we evolved into a little more of a bar, and we've always struggled with what our real identity is in here.
Because there's other things too, like you got packs on tap. There's some Kindle Jackson, like there's
if you notice
other options.
Everything we try to do is local. We Taxman was good to us, and so in turn we buy some Taxman. Like you said, PAX is in here, and it's a fun room. It's an enjoyable room. There's no TVs in here. I dumbed down the Wi-Fi in this room for a reason. I don't really like the whole head down at a table. Our tagline is the magic of shared experiences. Then lift your head up and talk to somebody.
So do you live music here, like
on Saturday nights? Yeah, that's why I said on Saturday nights it changes a little bit. We've got the nice stage, and it's usually a local guy with a guitar. But every once in a while we have a couple of bigger names in here, and nothing over the top.
Awesome.
But then you were also asking about events. April 8th is the solar eclipse, and our name happens to be Moondrops.
Yeah.
So we really, there's a lot of people out there selling tickets and doing a thing. We're bringing in a food truck, and we're going to have alcohol, as you might guess.
And what else are you doing that
music,
day?
And we are going to go out and barrel up and make our own moonshine. I'm sorry, I was on the wrong subject. Our own bourbon on the day of the eclipse. And
it's not fucking gimmicky.
No,
because it's actually made.
It's actually going
to be. Yeah,
we're going to make it that day. So that's cool. What I want to do is set the barrel out, and anybody that's here wants to sign it, and then they can say we're here.
Yeah,
and then just kind of watch our social media for 4 or 5 years, and then the solar eclipse barrel is being released.
So I say not gimmicky because there's so many other things out there. Starlight's one of them that are releasing this total eclipse bourbon. Has nothing to do with the fucking eclipse.
No.
Other than the fact that you're going to open it and drink it on April 8th. Has nothing to do with the last eclipse, nothing to do with this eclipse, other than you like alcohol, you're going to buy it and drink it.
And yet there's lots of marketers and there's lots of buyers.
Oh, yeah, they're going to buy
it. And
they
will all buy it.
Yeah, everybody's going to buy it. The difference with the Moondrops one is it's actually going to be barreled.
Yeah, and you're going to have to wait just like I wait for things.
4 years.
I like that because to me, that's like one of those memory things. Right?
Yeah,
when you talk about
a
community experience, it's, hey, I was part of that. Or even if you see it on the shelf, you're going, oh, the eclipse, right. I remember the eclipse. Yeah.
Maybe, I just thought of it, but what if we, at that time cut up the barrel a little bit and everybody got where they signed it or something to that effect?
That would be cool.
So
I would pre-buy a bottle of that.
Attach it to your bottle and hang on. Yeah.
Oh, man. Look, ideas popping everywhere.
Yeah.
So April 8th, you can come out here, food truck, hang out, sign a barrel.
Yep.
We'll also be down at the lounge
music.
if you want to,
Yeah,
come grab a cigar from the lounge, hang out with us down there for a little bit. Come down here, grab a cocktail, whatever you want.
It's great because they're like 7 minutes apart. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, Fortville Ingalls right there.
Yeah. Now, who the hell knows what the traffic will be like? Shit.
Well, that's, we took a different route. It would have been easy to sell tickets and do thousands and thousands of dollars. But if I bought a ticket and I come here and even a day like today, just a little overcast, then what's it really going to, you're going to see go a little dark. But let's all cross our fingers that it's a sunny day, and then by all means come out. There's no cover charge. There's no tickets. We'll just pack them in the backyard, and we'll all look at the moon and break out into a song of Bark at the Moon with Ozzy.
Absolutely. Yeah, heck yeah. Man, I mean, I love it. Other than that, what is it, June 1st is the Bash
June
Mash?
1st is, the Mash Bash.
Mash Bash.
We're going to have 2 bands here that day. 21, I think, people other than us, mainly breweries, are going to set up. I think one other distillery and maybe one other cider place. And we're all going to have our products and doing free tastings, and you walk around and enjoy the music and buy a bottle of your favorite stuff out there.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a Facebook group, Facebook page already created for that event. So look that up, Moondrops Mash Bash. That's already out there. Go ahead and follow that for updates and stuff like that. That sounds awesome.
That'll be a fun day.
I think we need to talk still about setting up a tent too, maybe selling some cigars that day too. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll be there too. Who knows?
I mean, anybody out there, I think we're going to take on 4 more is what we decided that we have space for.
For like breweries or
to the vendors, it doesn't cost. We actually paying you to come out.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, who else does that? Like, everywhere you go, you got to pay hundreds of dollars to be on site. Like it's all about community. Everything's local, everybody's trying to support each other. So take advantage of that.
I believe all of us that'll be out there are all local. So that's
great.
Kind of was designed and designed that way. For the person, like you said, just go onto the website and under Mash Bash, and they're selling tickets right on the web.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited about that, and we'll talk about setting up a tent too. We might be here selling cigars. Might do an event pairing or something just to kind of throw that in there, and maybe we'll set up the podcast that day too. We'll do a live podcast again here on the Mash Bash, first annual, hopefully one of many, right?
Yeah, that's the goal.
So that's I mean, it sounds awesome. Like just supporting each other and getting into some of these brands that some of these people don't know about. Like
absolutely.
It's Moondrops right here. It's Fortville. It's crazy.
Speaking of Mash Bash and Moondrops, are we tasting anything else, or am I just gonna?
You can reach for that, or we can take you on a quick tour when we're done, and we can break out that rum.
Oh, we still got a few items to cover yet on the list here.
By all means, pour. I mean,
good. I'm thirsty today, man. I'm telling you.
I'm thirsty. I'm just behaving because I've got another 8 or 10 hours ahead of me.
Top me off a little bit too there.
Gotcha.
So like, other than that, I know we kind of talked a little bit about how you guys started. Thank you, sir. What was like the biggest challenge that you faced getting into this?
The government restrictions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even
That's
close.
no surprise.
And then, as I told you at first, we also went COVID. And here's a crazy story. So I buy all my stuff, break ground. If you're an artisan distiller or a smaller distiller, the government needs to hold that license for 18 months. They did back that off. Actually, I went down and spoke at the Senate and for the hearing, and I think they've lowered it since, and we had a little bit to do with that.
What did they go down to? Is it just 12 months now, or
was it 12 or was it 9?
I was thinking it was 12 months. I'll have to
no
look that
longer
up.
affects them, but it was originally 36, and then it went to 18. During COVID, we was going right through that, and I thought my clock was clicking, and it was not, because they needed to come out and sign off on the equipment.
Sure.
And there's nothing in the books that says they have to see that. There's nothing anywhere. It doesn't say you have to see
People making shit up.
So I fax them across to, all the, man, that was dated me a fax. Scanned them across to all of our serial numbers and the checks that they're paid for. I even included some pictures. And they said, yeah, we still have to see it. What do you got to see? I mean, if I'm lying about it when this is all over and you can come out, then it won't be here. And,
right.
And what am I doing if it ain't here to begin with? Yeah. I mean, so this is a dumb conversation. No, we have to see it. Well, I disagree, which don't tell the excise police that you disagree, because that conversation doesn't go real well.
Oh,
and
I could imagine.
So it went on for a while, and nope, they're not coming out. And that added a 9-month wait to me on top of that 18 months, because they hadn't signed off on the equipment.
Yeah.
It was breaking my heart.
Yeah.
And here's how the story goes. Walked in, walked across to my chiller. He set a piece of paper on it, said, I need your signature here. I said, what am I signing? He said, it's your permit. I signed it and left. He wasn't in the building 30 seconds. And I waited 9 months for that.
It's like home appraisals.
What a waste of time.
It's a fucking joke. Like home appraisals, they'll do a drive-by. They'll be like, yep, that's a house.
Yep. They'll say, oh, yeah, it's got a bad plug and a bad gutter. And that's not why I hired
asshole, you didn't even get out of the car.
6 months later, your furnace goes out and goes, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
But so, I waited 9 months for that. And just all the licensings and permits. I think I currently own 5 permits and 5 licenses. So you go through all those loopholes and it smooths out. I guess the good news is my officer absolutely came in one day and was checking me out. And he's like, unless one of your people report you for doing something, and when I say your people, he's talking about, any of our competition. I said, well, I'm not worried about that because we're doing all right. He says, I see that. He said, let's go look at the firm. And I start walking. He says, let me guess. When I get up there, I'm going to see your mash. I said, yeah. He goes, and I can see the still working right there because we were running at the time. He goes, I don't know what else, you're going to get in trouble for. I said, I don't either. But your heart still kind of flutters every time, they're coming out.
It's like the health inspector showing up. Yeah. Right. Well, I know last time we were here, I told you I make pet treats and pet food.
Right.
So I have to do the same thing with like the permits and stuff. And yesterday I got an email from the OISC at Purdue, and they were like, oh, your tonnage report is delinquent for the months of October to December of 2023. I'm like, I don't sell tonnage. I have packaged products. I told you that in September of 2023. They still hadn't updated it until now. And they're like, well, you owe us $555 in late fees. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. I was like, here, read your email where you didn't change your shit. It's like, look, it's not my fault. You don't know how to do what you're doing. Like, it's the same thing. Like, I got to send you pictures. I got to do this. You got to do that. Then you got to come inspect my facility to do all this shit. Like, just find something else to bitch about.
I get like, obviously they're looking for safety and everything, but it's got to be reasonable. It's got to be timely. You can't impact people's livelihood, right?
And everybody's got to have the same standards.
But they do. That's a piece of it. Mm-hmm. That's a great comment, because it's not the same for everybody.
Sure.
I know
they're getting paid by someone.
Not going to say large Tito names.
We don't like to throw anyone under the bus ever. Tito's or Starlight.
We distill. Okay. Sure you did.
Yeah, we never throw anyone under the bus on the show ever. Ever. Thanks, Tito's. Here's to you. Take it with a grain of salt, really.
How much you been drinking already, Mike? I'm just wondering. I mean, this is starting to sound a little bit like Isaiah's bachelor party when we tried to record a podcast. It did not go well, by the way.
I'll tell you, I didn't start today with the Foster's beer.
That's probably good.
He made fun of me last week. We did a St. Patrick's Day episode, and I made beer cheese, and we just needed a regular lager. So my wife went and got one single lager, and she brought home Foster's. Australian beer.
And he sends us a picture. I'm drinking beer on St. Patty's Day, and we're like, fucking Foster's? It's not St. Patrick's Day beer.
It was just come on. Beer. Giving me shit.
Terrible.
How much have I been drinking? Pot of coffee.
Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah.
Yep.
What's the next question, Scott? Hit him with one.
Oh, goodness. I don't know that I've got any more questions.
We've covered a lot.
We have, and it's awesome. I do know that we got some news to cover. You want to jump to some bourbon news of the week?
So
there's some new releases, some new label approvals.
I saw 3 or 4 different new labels. 2 of them coming out of New Riff. I think they're calling it the Old New Riff now. Is going to be this next one coming out.
How do you have Old New Riff?
It's the Old New Riff. They've been around for a while.
It's new.
The old side of it.
How does it
get
old?
Old New Riff. Like the old, not
I
old,
fucking hate
but
that.
Old, the old.
Sorry, I love New Riff. They do great stuff. I mean,
so we're gonna have to do a New Riff podcast eventually because I keep talking about New Riff.
I know. Well, I know you and Jen are both huge New Riff fans. So
I don't know why. It just kind of like happened. Like,
no, it's okay. It's good stuff.
And they put out good products, and like all their new stuff that they're doing is with heirloom grain. So they're doing heirloom corn, Balboa rye, and then 2-row malted barley.
Which is great, but I don't know how you make something new that's old.
Well, ye old Saint Nick, whatever. I don't know. Ye old. Other than that, there was a wild turkey one I saw this morning. 70th anniversary for Jimmy Russell's brand. I think it was an 8-year stated product. Didn't have a mash bill on there. I'd be interested in try that one. Wild turkey's good.
I've met him twice. Just the nicest guy.
Yeah.
Crazy nice. Met his wife and his daughter.
I'll tell you stories for days. Yeah, he will tell you stories for days.
Yes, he will. Yeah. I mean, there'll be a line of 500 people waiting to meet him. And he'll just bend your ear for 5 minutes and just ignore everybody else.
So nice.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, that's, so going along with like what
I'm assuming Eric Jansen will be all over that.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Eric.
I'd love to get you some for your wedding, bud. It's probably not going to be ready by then, so hang tight. I am going to try to get some Fuma Noches, though, so if you're listening to this one, I will try to bring some Fuma Noches to your wedding. We'll see. Can't guarantee it, but who knows if they'll be out by then. So hopefully Rob and Lisa are able to get some samples from PCA and bring them back so we can try some of the new Aladinos.
I'm looking forward to samples coming back, I hope.
They're teasing the hell out of that one, so I know that one's going to be good, too. Did you see the last one on Instagram? They're like, this isn't everyone's cigar. You got to know what you're smoking. Like, I fucking love that shit.
I love that too.
It's the same thing with like this. Like, this isn't everyone's bourbon, and that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. But the people that are gonna like this, they're gonna love it.
What was the one that got sent out the other day on the group chat that had the blue?
The McAuliffe.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah. The McAuliffe blue.
So he should be ordering some of those too. I think they already got them on order. And then there's another one. What is it?
It's the knuckle sandwich that I was thinking of.
The Espinosa Chef Special?
Yes, the Chef Special from the knuckle sandwich.
Chef Special. Man, I smoked one of those last night. That was...
Mark, I don't know if you're a cigar guy at all, but...
I was. I'm not anymore.
Fair enough.
There's a great picture of me and my daughter. I think she was 3, and we possibly both had a cigar hanging out of our mouth.
Oh, wow.
And at that time, it was a long neck Budweiser.
That's perfect.
It was pre-woke days in the world.
Yeah. Showing the kid, 4 years old, the cigarette hanging out of the corner of his mouth and a Budweiser in his right hand.
She's now 37 and just doing just fine.
It's a little different world now. You put that picture out there, you might have CPS calling at your door.
We're talking about Aladinos a little bit. At the lounge, Aladino event on April 6th. It was originally from 5 to 9. That's moved to 12 to 5. So if you were following along, if you get the weekly mailers and the email, pay attention to that because that event has shifted. Scott and Rob will be doing the podcast with Trey Mac that morning.
Yes.
So the event will be moving from 5 to 9 to 12 to 5. So
that's the Final Four weekend.
It's Final Four weekend.
So come in for a cigar and a drink and then watch some basketball.
Next day's
the 7th.
What is it?
National Beer Day.
Hey. So next week, not that one because that one's going to be Trey Mac's day.
Right.
We're not going to take over Trey Mac with some beer. So we'll do, and that's also the first pairing of April, so that'll be our pairing of the month. So
man, I hate it. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. It's, to the beer one. I'm sorely
we'll talk about
disappointed.
That. Okay, we'll do another one. We'll pick a day, but
yeah, because you know I like beer.
Right. Well, me and you will be in North Carolina at Eric's wedding. So
Correct.
Maybe we'll do 2 podcasts. One in North Carolina. I wanted to do one during his wedding.
Right.
It's when we're sitting in the back, kind of like what was that show?
Oh, with the cameras going and watching Eric go
what
down.
Was that show?
Yeah,
you know
watching
what I'm talking
that.
about. There's the cameras
Carson
from the
down
back and silhouettes in front of the screen. Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That was a big reach.
I fucking love that show.
Science.
Me and my dad used to watch that when I was a kid. We'll do that. So we'll sit in the back. We'll have the cameras behind us, and we'll talk shit about the wedding. Not about the wedding. We'll just do the podcast during his wedding while he's getting
Right. I mean, we can still talk shit about Eric.
Yeah.
We could definitely still talk shit about Eric.
I love that.
We won't talk shit about Carson.
We won't talk shit about Carson.
She's fantastic.
Carson's cool. Yeah.
She's way too good for him. Sorry, Eric.
Maybe I'll bring some moon drops down there, too, if I get a couple bottles of this double oak.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So we got campfire nights. Friday, we're going to be sitting out by the campfire. I mean, we're doing like a s'mores night the night before his wedding.
Definitely a great one for campfire night. The apple moonshine from here would be a great one for that. And
all right.
Just
apple was always so good.
You can even slide in a cheap bourbon in there.
Okay.
Somebody in this area knows about things like that.
Yeah. Was there anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to tell people?
Great. And you were talking about, I think you were mentioning just now some new stuff coming out May 1st. I'm lying, May 3rd. Be watching for us. Our pineapple should come out then.
Another campfire blend.
Yep. And we're excited about that. Think if you remember little suckers, the dum-dum suckers at the, that pineapple.
Oh, that was always, my goodness. That'll be incredible.
All of our bonfire blends were actually flavor points for me. I went to grandma's house and she was always making a pie or something. So that's where obviously the apple came from.
That's awesome.
We've got a peppermint and it's the candies. I walk in every restaurant. They got the little peppermints. They're going 8,000 of them in my pocket. And I've usually always got one in my mouth. The orange dreamsicle, which is kind of like the push-up, because when we were kids, we all had that. And then the lemon shake-up is absolutely the state fair. We just took that idea and made the adult version of it. So this is going to be like the Dum Dum Sucker, we hope.
Well, it's cool that you say that, because like when we did the Jackie's ICANN sensory experience with her, her big thing was your taste buds are fucking wrong and you're full of shit. Because
she didn't say that. No. You just felt that way at the end of it because you thought you knew how to like taste.
Right.
And then she gave you a totally different way to do it. And it was amazing. It was and you just kind of went like, oh shit, I didn't know anything about this before. And now I've got to I feel like I have to relearn
this
whole
isn't
new
beer.
thing.
There's no fruit in the barrel. There's no fruit in the mash.
I've learned to get really quiet at those. If I try not to, because one, I think you influence somebody.
Exactly.
And if you pick up cherry and he picks up apple, good for you. And if that's what I heard Tom Petty talking once, and he made a comment about, they asked him about a song, and he said, well, I try not to talk about what my song's worth because I found people have a vision of what that song was to them, and they have a memory. And every time I tell somebody what the song's about, it wasn't what they thought it was, and they lost. And it's the same thing, I think, with the taste. You have a taste. I went to school for that, and I think there was probably 30 people in the class, and oh Lord, if you know how many botanicals there are out there for gin. I mean, so there was just tables full of the stuff you were tasting ridiculous. All day, and smelling and tasting. But if there was 30 people, I guarantee there was 20 different opinions. And if you watched, what I really caught is if you caught one or two people, I pick up flavor of booger, then all of a sudden 20 people tasted booger. It's like,
this is salty snot.
Yeah. And so I'm more interested in people telling me what they taste, because good for you. Because this is kind of what we were talking before this started, was if you don't enjoy one of my products, that's not personal. I don't like broccoli, but there's a lot of people out there like broccoli. Good for you.
Yeah.
So I kind of watched that. One time I was doing a tour, and a gentleman said, well, who set your original flavors and what you're going for? And I said, I did. And he goes, well, what makes you the expert? I said, I have about 20 shots a day in my mouth. I said, if you want to put your liver and kidney up on the table, let's go. Yeah. I'm 62. My life expanse isn't much longer. He just kind of looked at me, and he didn't know if I was telling the truth or what I was telling him.
Gotta be. Yeah. That's crazy.
I love that you focus on that as it's what everybody else tastes, right?
It's gotta be.
Yeah, and I think it's important because I don't mind talking flavor notes with people when they don't think that way, right?
Right.
That's a good opportunity to say, well, I think I taste this or I smell that, because they're just like, oh, this is beer, or this is vodka, or this is whiskey, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like you said, the guys coming in after they had already had a bunch. I think I get hints of bourbon, right?
It was funny because I knew what they were saying, and we were all laughing.
Exactly. But, you still got to kind of coax people sometimes into trying to dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you get people that already dive,
talk to them about that. I don't want to influence their decision.
Exactly. Right? Once they know and they start exploring, then it's like, okay, now I can shut up and just wait and see what other people think about it, because now they're thinking.
At my core, I'm a salesperson. That's where my career was, and I know I will influence people because that's what I did for 30 some years, and that was my job. I don't really want to influence this. I want you to enjoy it for whatever reason you enjoyed it or not, and go, okay, well, guess what? We've got vodka. We've got this flavor. We've got that flavor. We've got lots of other things. Let's try those instead of getting hung up on something you might or might not like.
Thank you to sponsor Deadwood Live. Derek with Deadwood Live is producing top quality live edge products as well as bourbon themed furniture. If you've been in the lounge, you've seen the custom live edge table and barrel stools produced by Derek. Be sure to give him a like and follow on Facebook at Deadwood Live. That's DED Wood Live. Yeah, you've got a lot of years of experience already making this stuff, and people have enjoyed it. So you know that you're doing something.
I know where it's going. I know, I'm still obviously trying to put it in a lane where I know the bulk of people. There's a lot of flavors, Old Smoky, come butter pecan or whatever.
Pickle.
Yeah, and there's just, and
so
sure.
heavy on the alcohol.
And there's somebody out there that likes those flavors and good. But I'm being small, I'm trying to find the lanes for the masses. The pineapple's next. Everybody likes pineapple. The lemon's an easy one. Everybody likes lemon. Everybody thinks about apple pie. And so I'm trying to find those lanes that I know is big. I've got people in my ear all the time, we need to do rhubarb or whatever it is. And so that was a shout out to Rachel. She had somebody come in and ask for rhubarb. So what I'm looking for is something that 7 or 8 out of the 10 people sitting there enjoy, and then let's all have fun with that. And if you don't like that one, what do you like?
That's perfect.
We'll go that route.
Love it. Well, I know we got a couple other minor updates here. First, I want to send a shout out. We had a gentleman come in to the lounge. Rob and I were there watching the Avalanche win, thankfully. They should be, I think, tied for first place in their division, so doing well. I'm not going to mention his name. He's kind of a silent partner owner, but he talked about one of his 2 lounges that he's invested in, the Smoking Jacket, just south of Dallas. So definitely, if you're down there, I looked it up, and kind of has a jazz club feel. He was, very proud and going to PCA for a couple days. It's not his day job. It's what he does because he loves it, and he's very excited about, being in the business. And so if you're down south of Dallas and you hear the show, make sure you check out the Smoking Jacket. And speaking of the Avs and hockey, I will update the Fuel. Love the Fuel, the Indy Fuel, right? We're all big fans. And they now moved into second place. They beat the shit out of Wheeling on Wheeling's Education Day. And they had one fight in the third period where 32 penalty minutes were dished out in front of 6,000 K through 12 kids. Yeah. So I'm sure that they had a great day. Now they didn't have a great day because Wheeling lost and the Fuel won 7-2. Yeah. But
worth it for us at least.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't get
Education Day.
Right. They got an education, all right. Hey, you got a bully on the playground. You better get out there and whoop some ass.
Here's how you lose a tooth, kid.
You hit my little guy, hit you.
Exactly. So we hope right now y'all are starting to enjoy some basketball. I think game started a few minutes ago, and
12:15 was the first one. So
it's going to be a good weekend. By the time you watch this, your brackets will all be completely fucked.
Except for mine, because I have like a 38-leg parlay.
If Mike is not on the podcast next week, it's because he's gone because he just won like $750,000 or something on a $5 bet.
There's someone sitting out there right now that hasn't watched any basketball, and they'll kill it.
Yes, they will.
That's usually the perfect bracket because like the color of their jersey was awesome.
Yeah, you should have found like a 12-year-old to do your parlay pick.
We do a family bracket, and there's 9 of us, and my granddaughter kills it every year because she picks the mascots.
Yep. It's not very scientific.
Oh, by the way, UConn, one of the favorites right now.
Yep.
Happens to have a dog, and so I'm sure she will have
of course, winning.
Up there.
Yeah, they're my pick to go all the way.
I've got a couple brackets. I got the UConn on one, UNC on one, South Carolina on one.
Oh, I like the South Carolina pick.
I went Houston. So.
Yeah.
I got Houston going, but I don't have them winning any of them. But.
I'm guessing you tangled with Purdue on that one.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I'm stuck between them losing in the first round still, but
I think they'll get past the first round. But
I hope so.
Second or third.
I think they had to learn their lesson last year.
I'd love to see. Look,
it's an Indiana school. I'm going to root for them. I don't care.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
We were going to go local, but you got to prove it, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, I haven't lived in Vermont since 2001, but Vermont makes it to the tournament every year, and they lose in the first round. Well, they're playing Duke this year.
I picked them.
So if they win, holy shit, that's a hell of a bet.
Right.
But they don't. No skin off my
You convinced me, Mike. I went on ahead and took them.
Hell yeah. It's
not?
a trendy upset of the tournament. I'll say that.
Yeah. I did find out, apparently 11 seeds have kind of overtaken the 12 seeds as like the main upset.
I heard that on ESPN just yesterday.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
12 was for years. You had to take a 12 upset to win.
Always a 12 over 5.
And now it's 11.
I bet it was the Grambling State Montana game that was technically yesterday. I had 3 players plus 12 scoring. Grambling State plus 4.5, under 130.5. The only thing I missed was the under 130 because it went to overtime. It ended up at like 165 or some shit.
Oh man!
But like, if I would have hit that off $5, I think it was like 650.
Overtime always gets you,
like,
man.
Son of a.
There goes the score too.
Always.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, yeah. I love betting hockey, and I do these parlays, and the puck line, it's always plus or minus 1.5, right? Always. And as soon as it goes to overtime, it's like, well, I'm screwed. That's it. Okay, that's it. Over.
Well, it was like the Leafs. The Leafs fucked me on my parlay yesterday because it was like 7-3.
The Leafs will always fuck you in your parlay.
I thought it was just the Pens.
Well, no, I mean the Pens definitely will too. The Pens suck.
Fuck the Pens, Dr. Scott.
Yep, they're terrible.
Fuck the Leafs too if you're a Leafs fan. Fuck those guys.
Well, I think
we throw no shade at all at anyone. Ever,
right,
so.
No shade ever. Yeah.
I'm not bitter at all.
No.
Jen yelled at me about the soap thing.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she set the bottle on the counter.
Mark, in case you don't know.
Yeah, I'm losing this one.
Yeah, so it's okay. Mike does not know where soap comes from.
It just appears.
It appears at the sink, in the shower, wherever he needs it, right?
My house works that way.
It just appears.
It's crazy,
It's
right?
magic.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with the shampoo, apparently. She set the bottle on the counter. She's like, it's under the sink. Fill it up. It's been 4 days.
Yeah.
Got in the shower this morning. She was like, you didn't fill it up, did you? She's like, I told you where it came from. Go get it. And I was like, I'll just use yours. It's the same thing. So.
That's right. Right, it's shampoo.
I battle with my demons. She battles with hers. It is what it is.
Okay, I think we've bullshitted enough here, right?
Yeah. I love everything you got. I love the MGP that's out here. You know, everything that you guys are doing. I think you're doing it right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Definitely come out to Fortville.
Yeah.
Right?
Come check out Moondrops.
Come check out Moondrops. Come grab a couple drinks.
I did make the comment that we don't do the TV thing, but I thought I heard that they were going to put some games on, so maybe that'll be cool. I just won't.
What are your hours? Tell everyone
Good
what
call,
your hours
yeah.
are.
Lord, now you're asking the wrong guy.
Well, so I know it's
you know what? I can probably Google that shit real quick.
Thursday through Sunday, I believe. 11 to something.
Saturday is 11 to 11.
Okay.
Yeah. That's about 2 to 7 on Sunday.
And you do open tours, so just like walk in?
No, they do go online, and you can book a tour on Sundays.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. But all the other days, it's, cocktails.
We decided that we don't want to get, if we did tours when we were actually out there cooking, and that you'll see all the equipment, you'll walk up on the catwalk and see all the fermenters and things like that. But when they were actually out there working, I think that started bringing in OSHA and, what if somebody gets burnt, so you need to put rails up, and what if somebody, so put a safety rope up, and that's not how we want to work. So Sundays.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
you're not
good.
kidding. I mean, I don't know about your Wi-Fi, but there's like no cell.
Yeah, you're not going to get anything in here.
Yeah, love it.
Okay,
Perfect.
I got the hours here: Thursday 4 to 9, Friday 3 to 11, Saturday 11 to 11, and Sunday 2 to 7.
That's awesome.
That was great. Ask the owner what the hours. I don't know. I get here at 5 in the morning.
I call excise. Leave me alone.
I leave when I leave. I get here when I get.
I was gonna say roll by the shop, the lounge, and if I see Rob's Jeep there, I know I can stop in and grab a cigar real quick because he's working all the time. So that's what happens with business owners.
2 calls a week. And, hey, want to meet us at the tasting? No.
It's the same with us.
72 hours this week going back in there only to hear somebody say, hey, you need something. No, cool, I'll go get it. I was in here with some buddies having some pizzas and some beers one night, and he says, isn't this the best? And I just looked at him. I said,
I want to go home.
Let's be real clear. You work at the Honda plant. He goes, yeah. I said, how about next week when we get together, we go to the Honda plant and hang out? I don't want to do that. See how this works?
Yeah, shut the fuck up. No, I agree. I mean, like we go to the lounge after hours sometimes to watch hockey if Rob's available, and sometimes you just got to separate. That's.
I think the only reason that really happens is Rob doesn't keep cable on his home TVs.
That's true.
So the only place he can watch it is at the shop.
That's true.
And that's also he can smoke inside. He doesn't want to smoke inside his house. So now he's like, okay, well, I got a place to smoke.
Yeah.
I can watch sports. I can invite my friends over.
Exactly.
And a buddy tells a pretty good story, and one of them taught his wife to play golf. I like to go, but I can't golf. But I do fish, and I'm pretty good at it. And so, long story short, was buddy said, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if you got your wife to fish?" And he goes, "No." And he goes,
"Leave my stuff alone."
When you take your wife golfing, do you have fun? He goes, "No, she can't golf." And he goes, "Uh-huh."
Leave it at that. That's it. Yeah, leave that shit alone.
Yeah.
We have to have our corner of the garage to go to.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you got to separate things every once in a while. So, Scott, where can they find you at, man?
Oh, they can find me at Scotty D Smokes on pretty much all the major social media platforms.
You can find me at Both the Visuals and Spencer Lee's on Facebook and Instagram. I'm sure you guys have social media.
Oh, absolutely. Find us all over. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. And, of course, obviously, just the website.
It's Moondrops Distillery. Make sure and come out and check them out. Thanks for having us, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.